Good morning, church. Thanks for continuing the deep dive. We're in John chapter 6 today, looking at when Jesus walked on the water. Remember, as we read the book of John, it's unique to the other Gospels. Matthew, Mark, and Luke are called the Synoptic Gospels, and they kind of share a lot of material. You can see a lot in which they reflect one another. Most scholars believe that John was written, again, by the Apostle John 20 years after the completion of the other Gospels. And so he kind of shades things. He shows us things. He emphasizes things different than the others. And to me, this is one of those little ones that give insight that I think is unique. In John chapter 6, in verse 16, remember Jesus has done the miracle of the feeding of the multitude. And so he's now leaving with the disciples. And it says, that evening Jesus' disciples went down to the shore to wait for him. But as darkness fell, Jesus still hadn't come. They got into their boat and headed across the lake towards Capernaum. Now this is interesting. You really have to get in the New Living Translation, which this is translation, to really unpack it. See, if you look at in Matthew or you look at Mark where it talks about this event, it says, emphasizes immediately Jesus told them to leave. Immediately Jesus told them to leave. And then in here we see, if you read another translation, that when they come, the sun's up. When they leave, the sun is down. And what the New Living Translation is trying to show is that there was a delay of time. Jesus, we know from the other Gospels, told them to leave immediately, but they didn't. So they wait to leave. They wait for Jesus. Finally, they realize he must not be coming, and they finally, late, obey his commands. And so when they start going across, they run into a storm. That storm is vicious. They can't make headway. And we know Jesus walks out to them, and they are scared. They don't know what's going on. And Jesus comes to them. And in this gospel, really unique, that once Jesus stills the storm, immediately, it's like, Star Trek. They have been beamed to shore, and they are at the destination that they wanted to be. So there's really two miracles. There's the miracle of Jesus calming the storm, but there's that miracle where all of a sudden time and space is collapsed, and they're in that place. But what I think is unique is maybe John's trying to point out that Jesus told them to go because there was a storm coming. And he's like, hey, it's time to go. There is a storm coming. And they didn't listen to him. And because they didn't listen to him, they ran into this trouble. Now, Jesus still met them. He still protected them. He still got them at their destination. But I can't help but think one of the reasons they were in the predicament they were in was because they didn't do what Jesus told them to do when they were told to do it. Look back at my life when God has spoke to me and said clearly to go or do, and I did it, how, so many times it's like God brought the resources. God met what was needed at the right time, at the right place. When I stepped forward in faith, he met me there. And other times where maybe I delayed, maybe I didn't move forward and do what God called me to do, and I ran into an obstacle that I would not have ran into had I just done what God had called me to do. So I'd say this, if God's calling you, if he's telling you, if he's speaking to you, don't delay. Take action on what he's called you to do, because there may be a reason he's calling you to do what he's calling you to do at this moment. He may be protecting you about something he sees in the future that you don't. Guys, thank you for joining us for our deep dive. So glad you're part of this. Hope you continue tomorrow, and have a blessed day.